the right decision, of course, as we are coming into Champs League now.
All right, awesome. And looks like the band super quick. Rek'Sai, Nidalee, Hecarim, Orianna, and Gragas taken off before we can even breathe.
Yep, straight away, banned straight off the bat. You can see Nidalee and Orianna taken away from Fortnite, the two champions that you can see the mid laner of Moya loves so much.
Yeah.
Taking those away is a very smart decision. The Rek'Sai ban, though, from Fortnite in response to the last game is interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely, because we saw very jungle-oriented bans last game. So it will be interesting to see what junglers they pick up. Maybe a Lee Sin, maybe an Amumu for Naya.
He does like his Amumu. I would be excited to see that one. I kind of hope he does pick it.
Definitely.
You won't really see it till the last pick or so, though, because it's a bit of a risk to pick it too early. But even the Hecarim ban coming out at the moment, taking away from points. Almost every ban that we're seeing right now, besides maybe the Gragas and the Sejuani, because they're just strong champions, are also targeted. Yeah,
definitely. So we've got the lock-in from Janna here. Really quick lock-in. A great support, versatile, really good at what she does, providing that shield, providing the crown control, a lot of peel for her AD carry. And it looks like Nautilus for Sin and Nunu lock in.
Yeah, straight away the response is the Nautilus and the Nunu. Extremely strong champions. Nautilus most likely support, given that we have the Nunu locked in. Unless they decide to put a Nunu support, very possible.
Yep.
Nunu, pretty hard to contest within the jungle, can be a nuisance everywhere on the map. Steal the jungle, do his own jungle. He's so good at taking big camps, so a smart pickup.
Basically, the ideal champion, when you think of jungle, has a move dedicated straight to it. It will be interesting to see if Fortnite go for more aggressive jungle in the likes of Lee Sin, but as we mentioned, maybe they're saving that Amumu till late in the pick order.
That's right, they might go for the jungle pick here if they're looking for a more Lee Sin type of champion, more of an aggressive, can trade with the Nunu perhaps. I would even suggest the Nidalee jungle be okay at this stage, but it's all for the trade, so then again Nidalee is banned, my mistake. Okay, so they're hovering the Siva. So the AD carry, they're going to put with the Janna, who's a very passive support. Needs to provide a bit of push and a lot of damage for that wave, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do lock that in.
A lot of engage so far with Janna's passive combined with Siva's ultimate. That's going to be a lot of movement speed just in your face and a lot of escapability as well. And with the Fizz, could be a top lane Fizz, could be a mid lane Fizz.
Yeah, you're right. From what we can see so far, they've got the Janna and the Siva, and that tells a story in itself. They can go in if they want to go in. They can run away if they want. They've got the best of both worlds, essentially, with those champions. And the Fizz, that helps in the hard initiation, whereas the Janna prevents them from initiating.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be interesting to see if they expect this to be a mid lane Fizz, more traditional, or a top lane Fizz, as we have been seeing a lot lately with the bit of a nerf to his abilities, a lot more AD focus now.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of AD Fizzes, and they do a ridiculous amount of damage. They rush the Blade of the Ruined King, and they scale that with the W, the extra % of bonus health. Does silly, absurd amounts of damage per auto attack.
Once the ult's on, and it gives that even more damage multiplier. So it's basically the same Fizz, just with different items.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it was a jungle Fizz. It can be played anywhere quite easily.
And looks like we have the Aurelia and Kalista lock-in, so trading AD carry, not trading AD carries, but taking away Kalista from CNJ from last game. So Kalista, maybe they thought it was really good and they want to try their hand at such a hyper carry, and we have Zed hovered over for Moya right now.
Yeah, I really like the team comp of Sin right now. It's just so absurdly tanky. There is way too much health coming out from there. Even the Aurelia, who goes with the Trinity Force first item, is just going to be an immovable object. And then they've got a Kalista who can sit just behind them and just do silly amounts of damage herself.
Yeah,
it's
and this
so well-rounded.
The Sin team, they can... If someone gets into their backline, a lot of the champions are able to just refocus immediately. So you've got like Nautilus and Aurelia in the front line. Both of them have a move to enable them just to do a 180 and get right back onto protecting Kalista. And they're not locked in, but hovered over a Mumu. Could this be our wish?
Well, they may well be listening to the stream, but hopefully they actually want to lock that in, as they do.
So we get to see it, Naya's famous Amumu jungle, along with the Zed, so that will be a Fizz top by the looks of it.
Yeah, Fizz top, unless they want to put something weird happening. Let's just say it's a Fizz top at this stage. Amumu in the jungle with the Cinderhulk is a lot easier to do now that you've got the Cinderhulk, the extra bonus health, the extra wave clear that you have, and you can use that with your Tantrum and all of that AoE damage. So good for jungling, but very easily countered, and you are up against the Nunu.
Definitely got to keep that in mind, because Amumu, very formidable in team fights, but not known for his 1v1 capabilities. So it will be interesting to see how much jungle, not Juve's dictates, is his jungle.
That's right. I mean, Amumu does have an underrated amount of 1v1 if he gets to level 4 and has a red buff and a blue buff. He can trade constantly, consistently, and he does have a lot of damage. But against the Nunu, it's not likely that you're going to scratch the surface too much. And Nunu it's basically Nunu's jungle to take, you're right, and we'll see what he chooses.
And we have the Diana locked in for the final champion on Sin Gaming. It's going to be a mid lane Diana. Looks like, so we got the Zed and the Diana in the mid lane. That would be like a nice shield for Diana to kind of negate some of that massive damage that Zed brings to the table.
Yeah, Zed has a lot of early pressure and damage, especially level 2 and 3 once he gets 2 spells up, and he's got a little bit more utility about him. But Diana having that shield available, it's going to negate a lot of the damage, but you're also going to be pushing the lane, which against the Zed makes you a lot easier to be ganked.
That is true. With Diana not known for her escapability, while Zed always will have the shadow available just when he needs it. So it will be interesting to see if Amumu can get in behind the Diana's over-aggression and really punish her for it.
Yeah, if I was to say any lane that an Amumu could gank from looking at them, would be the early game Aurelia, definitely gankable, and then coming into the mid-game to late-game stages where they are still laning, it's probably just going to be Diana.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how both junglers dictate their roles in this team. Like, will we have, as you said, a Nunu invading and making such a nuisance of himself, or will we have a Mumu going for those early ganks on the mid lane, really trying to get Zed snowballing?
Well, it's something that you don't expect either when you're watching or you're versing in a Mumu. You do not expect early ganks, so the fact that he might be able to do that would be extremely interesting and strong if it worked.
Farm till 6 comes to mind when I see an Amumu jungle, so it could be the downfall of Sin, potentially, if they overextend, maybe get too aggressive, thinking Mumu's jungling, we have good wards. The Bandit Toss has quite a range on it.
It does. It's a very high range, and it enables a lot of initiation, especially past that level 6 stage, as you mentioned, the ridiculous amount of CC crowd control that an Amumu has. You couple that with the rest of the team, you've got a Fizz who can, if the Amumu engages, you should be able to hit that fish. Zed is very easily able to then use his ultimate and do a lot of damage pretty much freely because they can't flash away. There's a lot of enabling things that Amumu allows his team to do, but the AoE wombo isn't necessarily that big, so I still question whether the Amumu was the right pick.
Yeah, it seems like they want to just lock everyone down and then pick the best target to go for. And champions like Fizz and Zed, they can pick a target each. So if Amumu locks 2 targets and their coordination is on point, that's 2 champions potentially dead. And with Siva and Janna able to think, okay, maybe this isn't working, let's get out of here, let's fight another day. They've got a lot of potential to make plays
And that's something that I actually really like that you just mentioned about their team comp is they're sacrificing their bot lane, essentially. They're not going to be doing too much damage. The Siva and the Janna have been picked almost entirely for their utility that they provide to the team. You've got the Fizz, the Zed, and then the Amumu is the enabler, so it's still a very well-rounded team comp in terms of team fighting. They have the potential to even do a 1-3-1 split push because Siva and Janna are very good at defending lanes. And just all around it is still quite a strong team comp. But if you have a look at the team of Sin right now, they've got the Aurelia, the Nunu, the Nautilus, Diana even, and then they've got a Kalista. Their bot lane's going to be doing a lot of damage and be even tankier than that of Fortnite.
Yeah.
Their mid lane is going to be doing the equal amount of damage, the only difference is magic and physical. And then the top laner, it's going to be fairly similar to the mid. The damage will scale equally.
Yeah, this is going to be a great skill matchup. All champions pretty much even on their priorities here. Maybe we've seen a bit more Diana recently, but still a formidable opponent in the mid lane. And like you said, Kalista, just that super hyper carry with the likes of 4 basically tanky champions protecting her. So it's going to be a battle between the front line of Sin and the assassins on Fortnite.
Yeah, I'm predicting extremely long team fights, to say the least, just because everyone is going to be so tanky upwards of 20 minutes into this game. Now, I do think that if the fights get prolonged by too much, it'll most likely go into favor of Sin, because looking at the side of Fortnite, they have the Fizz and the Zed who are more bursty and they want to blow someone up instantly. So when team fights do occur, if someone doesn't get blown up on Sin, if the Kalista doesn't die, then there's a very good chance for them to win that team fight.
And if any champion's going to be able to hop, skip, and jump her way to safety, it's going to be Kalista. Really hard to just knuckle down and kill, essentially. That's what the Amumu is going to be for. Even someone like Fizz, who's so slippery, so easily escapable and able to get right onto those targets, might have a bit of a tough time catching up to Kalista if she's able to survive the initial burst. Speaking of that, do you think she'll be going for more of a safe build with a Bloodthirster? or a more aggressive build with the Blade of the Ruined King?
I think the smart decision would be the Bloodthirster. You definitely need the overshield to compensate for the Z and potentially Fizz both jumping on you at the same time. Maybe even go for that early QSS as, say, a third item before going for anything else. Just because it does also drop the fish and it stops the Z.
All right, so we're going to be jumping right onto the Rift currently to see what the teams will be doing in the early game. Last game we had Fornot kind of making the wall of vision, as we're used to seeing a lot back in Season 4. Getting a ward on each of those entry points and then 5 stacking in a bush to avoid being spotted out. Yeah,
a fairly standard fan start is what that is commonly coined as, and it doesn't seem like Sin are going to be doing that at all this time, though Fornot are very aware of what Sin are currently doing.
Yeah, and I think we should mention that Sin have opted to choose the red side for each of their games, so this will be the same sides for every game we play. Looks like the team of Sin going in as 5, wanting to get a nice deep ward. How do you think about lane swaps? Which teams do the lane swaps favor in this scenario?
The only reason that you would be going for a lane swap if you were either side is because you feel like a particular lane is going to lose. So if you're a little bit worried that, say, the Aurelia is going to lose to the Fizz, maybe then Sin would enable a lane swap. But I don't think that any team has a particular issue in their respective matchup. You could do a 2v1 lane swap, though, to deny the Fizz.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they go for. But it looks like Aurelia recalling at the bottom side of the map, so she will be going to the top side. Fizz also sitting at the top side of the map, so it looks like we will be having standard lanes right now. Yes, standard jungle starts as well. Mumu might be starting blue, though, just so he can keep his tantrum going.
Yeah, Mumu does like to start that buff and get mana as soon as possible, knowing that he does run out very quickly, though. He does have the Smite available, should be able to do the Gromp very, very convincingly and get level 2, so he has both spells for the blue buff, which will make it a lot easier.
So in this matchup of Fizz versus Aurelia, who do you think takes it early?
It's a very it is a skill matchup. Yeah. Every lane with a Fizz and every lane with an Aurelia, respectively, are skill matchups. The Fizz has the potential to out-trade the Aurelia if you can use the Troll Pole to dodge the stun, the Equilibrium Strike.
So does the Fizz still has his healing debuff, am I correct?
He does, yes, on the double.
Yes, so this is going to give Aurelia a tough time to recover health, because that's something Aurelias love to do. They love to trade with you and then just ult an entire wave back to full health, and you're just left licking your wounds. So it will be interesting to see if she's going to be able to get enough health back to sustain herself in this lane.
Yeah, Aurelia does provide a lot of sustain and can be very annoying, but in the same sense, she does have a lot of sustain or a different style of play if you can't sustain, I should say.
Yeah.
Where you can max the Equilibrium Strike and just have crowd control as they're breaking out a fight here.
But straight away, it looks like aggression coming out of Stealth X and Flying Dew, taking CNJ really low. But I do believe only the Exhaust was burnt by Zaldo and the Ignite for Flying Dew, so not much going to come from it. Jana, very safe laner, so I don't think CNJ will want to back after that one. Both ADCs have used their potions.
And having the Ignite down from the Nautilus as well will allow Sivir to feel a little bit safer in that lane. You do have the spell shield up, and now that the Ignite's not there, there's no surprise kill pressure. It's all going to be entirely on themselves to avoid dying. And up against the Nautilus, you can see the amount of damage that they do at level 2 between Kalista and Nautilus. It's ridiculous. Yeah,
just even a few of those auto attacks combined with a Ren may be enough to catch CNJ off guard, because you really have to time your heal on point. But just as I say, that Nautilus comes through and flash in by Stealth X. That's going to be first blood when the Ren coming out. Looks like Zaldo might also be a casualty here. Will the Ren be enough? And it is a double kill. Amazing play from Flying Dew and Stealth X, just abusing the early aggression.
So well played, and a completely confidence play as well coming out of him. You could see he just went for the hook straight away. There was no flash auto attack for a stun. Completely confident that he was going to hit that hook, and he did. And you can see a double kill from there. The Kalista ramping up massively.
Now, that could have been a little bit greedy on the side of CNJ, but as I say, that Moya going in for a nice trade onto Rhymeister here. But back to my point, CNJ didn't level his spell shield second, so maybe a little bit of oversight there, knowing that Nautilus does have the potential to all-in you.
Yeah, given how the lane went, I suppose they fought at level 2, so there was no real availability to level that shield up, expecting to lose a fight.
True.
You do, in fact, want to go the Q and W, I think, just for extra wave clear and trade if things tend to go sour. But Fornot doing the dragon.
Looks like the leash was done by Not Jubes, and a great game sense from Fornot coming down and getting that dragon from 2k HP. Really easy pickup. Going to give him that, not an early advantage, but, you know, a little bit extra.
You can see Four not very experienced side. They had the numbers advantage knowing that Sin's bot lane had recalled. Juves did. He leashed the dragon for them, basically.
And you got to expect that when you're up against a Nunu. It's such a common thing for the champions such as Nunu to do, is to go for these really early objectives because just so much damage, so much sustain. And as I say that, it looks like a level 4 Fizz to a level 5 Aurelia doing a lot of damage right there, poking him down, able to win that trade.
It was even worse than what you'd mentioned. At the time of the initiation, Aurelia was level 3.
Oh.
And that prevented a lot of lane control. And you could see he even used the troll pole, dodge the stun, as mentioned. And look at the difference in lane control now.
Yeah, it's really going towards Naguya's favor. Points, after having such a dominating performance on Shyvana, now just has to sit back and watch his minions die to their minions.
And that's basically what he's going to do. He needs the level, so he has to stay in lane. He's not going to be able to last hit. The difference right now is 16 CS.
Oh, that's got to be painful. And especially in a game where you're coming off such a win, you really want to keep that momentum going. You really want to keep your dominance. But it looks like, as we mentioned in the Champions, like Naya coming around the back of Diana, Rymaster has seen this. He is going to try and escape. But the bandage, no. He predicted the walk back by the looks of it. Or maybe he just missed.
He predicted the stutter step, I would like to think, as they break out a fight in the bottom
but
as well.
yeah, again, the Ignite back up, that's going to be an easy kill for StealthX to pick up. Zaldo just showing really good initiates onto Flying Dew, sorry. Zaldo was playing Nautilus the last game. Flying Dew just showing really good initiative. But as I say that, Naya may have overstayed his welcome as he is going to be met by the likes of Not Juves and Points teleporting in. The Ice Ball coming out and Points flashing over the wall. But it looks like damage turned back around. That Points is going down. He stayed too long, got ignited, got tower hit. But Moya's not done. The ultimate is available, but nothing going to come from it.
That was extremely aggressive by Sin right there. Flashing over that wall, they probably should have just admitted defeat. They weren't going to get a kill from it. Instead, they've given one up. And now Points, who was struggling in that lane a little bit, I think he was desperately searching for a kill to get himself back in, has now found himself even further out behind.
But it looks like Zed just getting a nice ultimate onto Raymaster here, but he's going to survive on a little bit of health. Can the Shuriken come out? The shield is there. Oh, and the shield did end up saving him. Moya also being taken very low in that exchange, as we just saw both mid laners trading blows, looking evenly matched right now.
Yeah, a lot of action going on there. Both mid laners very, very high damage, but the Diana having the shield, as we mentioned at the start of the game, saving her in this particular instance.
Yeah,
Zed now having no ult.
And Diana must be thinking if she could have got off a little bit more damage, maybe that tower shot may have been enough. But in a situation like that, where you know the Zed, once level 6, probably has the favor of that matchup, you just got to get out of there.
Yeah, it's a pretty back and forth match, and I think it depends on how it goes pre-6 as to who has the control. Zed definitely showing that he's wanting to at least take control of that lane right now. But have a look at this bot lane. 3-0-0 with an 11 CS lead. At the moment, only a pickaxe on Sivir. I'm assuming that there is a lot of gold for that Callista that's going to go for an item quite soon.
Yeah, she's going to be going back and coming to lane. And the dominance that we've seen so far, it's just going to get better for Sin. Like, Callista right now, such a strong champion with this position that she's in. So it looks like Blade of the Ruined King will be her item path of choice if that dagger tells me anything. It
certainly does seem that way, and I guess it's okay given how far ahead the Callista is opposed to the Bloodthirster. It's a good way to continue to either split or push an advantage, though I still think in this particular instance the Bloodthirster might be more ideal.
Yeah, you gotta show confidence. If you can pull off the Blade of the Ruined King, it might be what she needs to be able to just get away from this. But as I say that, Fizz comes in with the Chum the Waters. Amumu comes in, he is level 6, and the Curse of the Sad Mummy finishes him off as Juves just got to throw an ice ball and watch on the sidelines.
That's exactly what he did. There was nothing he could actually do there, though, given how far ahead the Fizz is to the Aurelia. The lane is completely going in his favor right now, and the Amumu gank only really cements that lead. Yeah,
and a great sense by both junglers to know where the next fight is going to happen, but unfortunately, not Juve's level 5 to Naya's level 6. And a level 5 Nunu trying to gank for a losing Aurelia. That went down exactly how I thought it would.
And this is something we've seen a lot, is that Nunu, though he has a very easy jungle, he's behind right now in 13 CS.
Yeah.
The Amumu's doing perfectly fine. And this Amumu has more initiation tools, which what I think is the biggest problem right now with the Sin lineup, besides maybe the Nautilus. All of their initiations, even the Nautilus to an extent, are not straight away. It's not instant. You're not getting a flash Tibbers like the Amumu ultimate can do. You're getting a slow ramp up on Nautilus ult. The Aurelia who has to dash into stun, and the Diana as well has to hit a Q before going in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they manage to take this advantage that they've gotten and roll with it. But as I say advantage, the gold lead is super close right now. Only a 200 difference. Like, we've seen Sin lose out the top lane, win out the bot lane, the mid lane kind of evening it out, and the jungle, a jungle that you think Nunu would have the advantage over, Amumu's making it his own.
Yeah, Mumu freely getting to level 6 is going to make the jungle seem a lot more even now. With the Dragon up in 17 seconds and Fizz just really showing his aggression, does not even care that there's that many minions hitting him. He'll stay around and be a pest.
Yeah, Fizz benefiting from his passive, taking less damage from minions, so more inclined to fight in a minion wave. And as I say that, dodges the stun again. I do believe it was used on a minion.
Oh, no.
That is so unfortunate. Once again, Fizz using the troll pole to bait out the equilibrium strike. Oh, that's got a sting.
He's playing this matchup perfectly. Really unfortunate that points did stun the minion. You can tell he tried to click to Fizz as Fizz used the pole, and it went off anyway. Very unlucky. And Fizz is getting really far ahead, and Dragons just spawned as well.
Yeah, Fizz does have teleport up. Aurelia's will be up in time for the dragon fight, I assume. So we should have the potential to see a 5v5 here. But it looks like Sin might just want to give it up. Even with the Kalista, you do have that added dragon control. Kalista and Nunu, not really known for giving away dragons this early in the game. But I guess they fear the team fight from Fortnite.
And so they should, I believe, at this stage. There's, of course, you're perfectly right. There's no reason for a Nunu and a Kalista based off the champions, as they're actually going in the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like Zaldo just took the wrong way back to base, but nice flash, able to get him out of any danger. Unfortunately, still at level 6, so no Monsoon available to escape from that fight. Just having to use a flash, having to use his shield to keep him alive. I do believe yet heal was used by C&J to help in that engage. But yeah, just showing that Sin still have the potential to catch out members.
That's right. They do have the Nautilus with the hook available, catching him out in a poor position. They did do a lot of damage to him, and he's not level 6, so he was definitely killable. Though the rest of the presence of Fortnite, you could see they were around the Dragon Pit, made them back off a little bit, not commit too far into the river.
Yeah, and we just see Zed getting pushed into his tower, but Amumu nowhere in sight. And look at that. Just as the minions hit the tower, Rymaster backs off. He knows what happened last time. And as you mentioned, Amumu going to be able to sneak behind there. And just, yeah, staying against his tower, maybe waiting for Wraiths to come up, but no sign of it yet. And this bot lane, even with such an advantage on Kalista, the aggression seems to have been maybe taken a step back for now.
Yeah, don't be surprised if the Fortnite people like to act like they're still ahead even when they're behind. It's built into them. I just want to take a second to look at the actual wards that are down now for both teams even.
Yeah.
The amounts of the green wards that are down for Sin is ridiculous. And no wonder Diana feels safe pushing that lane, can freely back off and do whatever she likes right now because there is so many wards down. He knows exactly where Zed is basically at all times.
Yeah, definitely. As we say that, Zed taking out wards, but Rymaster wants to make that fight, but unfortunately misses the Q and able to shield pretty much all the damage. So if that Q had hit, this fight outcome may have been a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely. A lot more damage would have gone onto the Zed there, and you can see the Zed's feeling the pain right now. He's down 30 CS, 31 CS, and it's a level bonus as well to the Diana, and he's confident enough right now to just use his ultimate and dash into the Zed, even when he misses the initial proc of the Q.
So we saw most of the members of Sin Gaming kind of transition up, maybe wanting to siege out that mid, but backed off as Zed was able to clear the wave pretty quickly. But again, Nayuga just doing so much damage in the top lane, just taking out that tower. But it looks like a fight maybe breaking out. The ult comes in from Moya, doing a lot of damage. The exhaust comes out from Rymaster. He comes in, but Amumu is able to get the flash Curse of the Sad Mummy and finishes him off.
Yeah, I don't think Diana had the shield available, using it for wave clear as they're going in again in the bottom.
It looks like fight's just going everywhere. The teleport coming out from Fizz, also from Aurelia. Maybe she's teleported in a bit on the wrong side, but it looks like Kalista is the target. Amumu missing the bandage. Kalista getting completely destroyed. Shutdown gold going over to Fizz, and another kill to Fortnite.
Yeah, this is starting to go into the favor of Fortnite quite seriously right now. That dive was questionable, to say the least. Teleport's available. Fizz still had the fish. Hit the fish. Killed stealth, hit it on Stealthix, I might add, and instantly blew him up. that Fizz being ahead is really affecting this game right now, whereas the Kalista being ahead, not able to do as much.
Now that's the difference between roles right there. Like a top lane champion are able to just snowball so hardly where the ADCs really need to get to that 2 to 3 item power spike before they just take over the game. So Fizz just doing a great job of snowballing his early advantage in other lanes. Maybe a little bit too aggressive from Sin for that dive, knowing that both teleports were up and Aurelia can't match the teleport.
Yeah, Aurelia managing to get the teleport off and not dying to towers, thankfully, this game. We can see he came in not exactly in the best position, but it's where he had to teleport to.
Of course.
And by that time, by the time he walked around to help the rest of his team, the Fizz had already got the ultimate off. Kalista was already dead.
Yeah, it's not looking good right now for 4Not. But Sin, they showed us last game, even in a bit of a deficit in the early game, they were able to make a few good dragon picks, a few good steals, but they don't have Ziggs to help them get there.
No, they have the Diana. It's a much different play style, but their team comp works perfectly with that Diana. So if they can just get some kills on any of the heroes besides the Kalista, which would be perfect, they need to get the ball rolling on more than one person. They need Diana to be a threat. They need a front line that can do damage, not just tanks, which is what they have now. Yeah,
well, Diana going for that hourglass first, so she might be able to save her exhaust rather than burning at the second Z ultimates. So maybe that might be a sign for them to want to start picking fights. It's being able to exhaust Fizz now rather than just Z if the ultimate does come down on you.
That's true. It's a very good point, in fact, that now you can use the Zonias for the Z ult. Z may not even be ulting you, and you can just use the exhaust on the Fizz. There's a Mumu being a little bit cheeky there, waddling his way in, trying to find a kill.
It's just keeping Rhymaster at bay because Moya knows. And just as I say that, Rhymaster comes in. Noya not much to run away, but able to juke him with those shadows. Rhymaster just getting a little bit bloodthirsty and forgetting the crucial things to remember about Zed is he's always going to go back to that shadow.
It's moments like this as a mid laner that you want your Ignite available, not exhaust, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You take the exhaust and then you go Zonya's first item. I don't know, maybe you want Ignite.
They live on a slither of health, but Moya just escaping that one. The aggression again coming out of Rhymaster. He hits that ult while the Q is channeling, and he's able to get 2 procs of ult off so quickly, and it just shows.
Yeah, he definitely played it well, as Naya and Juves are just going to hit each other with wet noodles.
Yeah, not too much going to go on here, but Diana and Zed, the big guns are backing up the fight, but both junglers realizing they've bit off more than they can chew.
Kalista opting towards the Bloodthirster as a side note, not going for that Blade of the Ruin King, just getting the boots, so having the Berserker's Greaves with that dagger. So deceptively deciding to go for what we thought was the right decision and proving that that's why they're playing and we're commentating.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's like you mentioned, it's a much better build going for that Bloodthirster. She is going to need that overshield, as you said, against the likes of Zed and Fizz. So it is comforting to see that greed does not overwrite need.
That's right, and now that he does have the Bloodthirster, it is worth noting, as they start the Dragon here for 4Not, that you do need a second item to ramp up, though.
Yeah, not many stats besides damage and health is going to be coming from that, and this looks like, yeah, completely uncontested Dragon. 4Not just going to be picking it up with ease.
Yeah, the difference right now, Fizz is here.
Yeah.
Aurelia, not having the teleport available, opting to stay top, might finally have enough gold for that Trinity Force. I certainly hope so, or at least very close. Whereas the Fizz has finished the Lich Bane, working on what looks to be a Luden's Echo straight after.
Oh, so Fizz going with the ability power build rather than the Blade of the Ruin King you see a lot in solo queue.
That's right. They changed it a little bit back and forth. They had the AD Fizz came out with Prevalence, and then they tweaked Fizz again. So I think it's gone back more towards the ability power focus build.
Good, good. So yeah, he's just going to be running back to that top lane, getting the crab for his troubles, a nice bit of gold and a nice bit of vision, and if he needs to escape, there'll always be that speed shrine waiting for him. Aurelia, she just can't be seen in that lane anymore. Taking the Krugs, no smite this time, so going to be doing it the hard way.
Yeah, and I worry for the Aurelia not even having the Trinity Force as they go in.
Zaldo, not much to say about that. Just getting absolutely obliterated before I could even begin talking. About 70% of that health bar. Boo! Down and out. Meanwhile, Kalista just denying a wave to the tower. Now, do you think this is why they are going to take the tower, I'm sure, but keeping it up when you're behind, do you think the gold is more important or denying the gold's more important?
The gold is equally as you're getting the tower regardless, and you're getting the extra wave. So the money's still going on to Kalista, so it's okay. Diana managing to get a kill was exactly what we said they needed. They're getting more gold for the Diana as well as the rest of the tanks with the tower. They could have maybe just not hit the minions and let them die to the turrets, like let more minions get denied by the turret, but I think what they did was perfectly fine.
And looks like we have a massive wave on top, but 3 members of Sin are going to be trying to cut them off. It is Zed and Fizz in a 2v3 here. The shot comes in, but Zed uses ultimate to escape it, but to really no avail because the damage was already dealt, the cards were already played, and Zed's grave was already dug.
I like that we mentioned this at the start of the game, that both Fizz and Zed can split push, and we may even see a 1-3-1. I didn't really think that we'd see a 2-3 kind of split push, and the rest of Sin just casually rotating up and securing a free kill on whoever it was that was unlucky, and it happened to be Zed in that instance. Yeah,
this game has been very back and forth. We've seen the rise of Kalista in the early game, the fall of Aurelia, and now back to Aurelia coming, just showing why this champion is held in such high regard on top-tier mid laners. I mean, top laners, sorry.
Yeah, having finished the Trinity Force to help a lot, and you could see she was definitely doing a lot of damage on the Aurelia, even though 1 and 3 and behind in CS by about 20.
Yeah, so deceptively behind, you would say.
Exactly. The Fizz still going to be doing a lot of work, of course, but what we're alluding to here is not to write off the Aurelia and the amount of work that the Aurelia can in fact do at all stages.
And looks like we got the entire team of Fornot coming to that bot lane. I'm not sure if they walked over a ward or if it's just a nice sixth sense, but Sin just backing out of there. Yeah, there was a ward on the red buff, so some great deep wards coming out from Flying Dew, I imagine.
Yeah, we saw the deep invade earlier where Nunu taking away that Raptor very sneakily with the consume was around that time as they're going in.
Looks like Nautilus has gone in onto Naya here. The Sivir Boomerang Blade just cutting across 3 members, and the Howling Gale from Jano just going to be disengaging the fight.
That was a lot of damage, though, onto that Amumu. Now at half health, they're going to try and continue to siege, but there is a real chance for an engage here as Sin.
Yeah, the Amumu, the one that you expect to be in the front line, it didn't really feel like he was a tank there. It felt like he was just a support Amumu. The amount of damage just from a Nautilus and a Diana were able to dish out. So that's going to be... encourage them to back off and just let points get that tower. I think maybe the aggression in the bot lane, the tower would have been a nice objective to take as well. But if you can just keep Fornot from coming back to defend that top lane, then you're doing your job fine.
Yeah, and they did exactly that. It was very well spotted by the wards. They all rotated very early, and they made the decision not to fight unless they needed to all in with the teleport from the Aurelia. They got Amumu quite low, and they decided that, you know what, Aurelia, you go take that tower, and it's a big win for Sin that they managed to not even give Fornot that first outer turret in the bot lane.
Yeah, it's very good play coming out from both teams. They're really equal right now. It will be interesting to see when this next dragon comes up in a minute and a half, how they tend to move their vision down there. And we haven't seen the dragon fights really come out of either team, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next.
We've been talking about how far behind the Aurelia is all game. The CS right now is only 7. That's the difference. So that has been brought back entirely. Have a look at the mid lane CS right now. The difference in creep kills between the Zed and the Diana is massive.
Constant.
It's ridiculous. And then the bot lane as well. 50 CS in favor of the Kalista. They won that lane hard, and that is now translating. The Sivir's not going to be able to do a whole lot because she was so behind so early in the game. And all of the carries from Sin Gaming are now massive.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. When you get so far ahead, you feel the need to help your team. But then the lane that you had such dominance over is able to creep back up. And as we can see, Aurelia just really coming back into relevance in this game.
Yeah, it's Sivir just blowing the ultimate there to try and run away, and then realizing they didn't need to. They're going to secure this pink ward, though, for their troubles, and nothing's really going to come from that.
Unfortunately, though, no Sivir ult for the upcoming dragon fight, so that could play heavily into Sin's favor.
It could very well do, and it is a big win condition, you would say, for Fornot right now, having 3 dragons to the 0. It looks to me as though if you're going to win this game as Fornot, you're going to try and control objectives, not kills.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if either teams go for a fight, because they have been, Sin have been trying to avoid the Amumu initiate, but without a Sivir ult, if they go in, they're staying in. So unless Jana can get some godlike monsoon, like I said, if they go in, they're going to have to fight to the death.
That is correct, and Rymeister is such a big threat right now.
Definitely.
If Amumu is not the one initiating for the team of Fortnite here, they've got 2 assassins, 2 engage/disengage without the Sivir ult, and an Amumu. If he doesn't get a good ultimate off, if they don't blow people up at this fight, they might lose.
Yeah, Dragon's just going to be taken out immediately, and Naya gets Hooked in by Flying Jew. A nice 4-man ultimate, but I don't know if it'll be enough. The Shark comes out onto points. Zed in the backline doing a ton of damage. So many health bars are ticking red. It looks like Amumu is the first to fall, followed by Kalista and Aurelia getting taken out. And the members of Sin are trying to run away with no health. Here comes the double Howling Gale. Just so much going on in that fight. It wasn't clear until the very end to see that Fornot, despite being a little bit behind, the Amumu engage was spot on.
That's right, he flash ultimate. He didn't even hit the bandage toss. The Nautilus conveniently hooking him towards the team, allowing him to use that bandage toss as Nunu might go down, might not.
Janna showing her bloodthirstiness right here as not Juice trying to escape with the blood boil, but I don't think he's going to get very far. Oh, he consumes and smites for that extra bit of health, but it is to no avail as Fizz is going to be able to take that one for himself.
And speaking of Fizz, the MVP of that last team fight, who did silly amounts of work straight after the amazing Amumu ultimate, has to be Fizz. The Fish, I think, hit 4 people immediately after the stun duration of the Amumu ult.
I know, it was so hard to see who it hit, because as it came up, everyone just dispersed from the knock-up portion of it. And it was really nice to see the Amumu being played to such prowess, getting right in that back line, not allowing Kalista to hop, skip, and jump away, focusing on the threats such as Diana, and Nunu not really being able to match that.
Pretty much exactly right. It doesn't have the team fight potential without that absolute zero being used defensively. So I guess it's okay that you're letting the Amumu initiate, but it's not going to work for the rest of your team. I loved the confidence from Fornot having just the Zed go on Kalista.
Yeah.
The rest of the team can blow whoever they want. They were confident that Zed would do enough work to kill the Kalista, and he did. Yeah,
that's what you got to have in your teammates. If everyone's using all their damage on one target, it's just a waste of damage. You really have to just step back and I know I'm the Fed Fizz, but I trust in my teammate to be able to finish off this Kalista. I'm going to focus on Diana. And just like that, they were able to win the team fight.
That's right, and it's a sign of experience as a team as well. You know that they've been playing in the OPL for a split together, and that shows with that last team fight in particular. You can see the Kalista, though, working towards that QSS now, I'm hoping, with that Null Magic Mantle. And once he gets that, it might take more than just a Zed.
Yeah, Zed's going to have a tough time picking targets with an exhaust on him for Diana, the Zonya's Hourglass, like you said, the potential for a QSS. Is he going to go for Aurelia?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Hey, Aurelia does do a lot of damage. Not really tanky just yet.
Oh, but as I say that, Rhymaster gets caught out and absolutely destroyed. But if you look at Zaldo's health as well, that was the result of 1 Q. So the damage is still there, but maybe staying a little bit too long.
Yeah, caught completely out of position there by the entire team of Fornot. Not really somewhere you want to be if an entire team is missing as well. So they're going to be able to at least attempt to siege this mid turret now, and it's starting to look quite dire for Sin.
With 20 seconds left on Diana, it looks like this should be a free tower, but the Fizz does miss the Fish. Flying Jew getting taken out. Moya also being done in by Ignite. Looks like CNJ has an Aurelia on top of him. That's nothing an AD carry wants to be in. But as I say that, he turns it around with some beautiful crits and a nice boomerang blade just hitting twice, showing just why an AD carry at this stage of the game is really hard to face off against. But if anyone's going to be taking him out, it's Diana, but the exhaust comes through. Here comes the Zonias for the initial... Another exhaust by the looks of it, maybe, but no, Rhymaster had the potential to kill everyone, just couldn't get it off. Yeah. He played that so perfectly. He was able to use his Zonias to bait out the exhaust for the duration of it, and then come back in, but just not able to make anything happen from it, unfortunately.
He only really has defensive items. He's still doing a lot of damage, as you saw come out, but the exhaust negates pretty much the entirety of the Diana at the moment. It was the 1v3. There is a Janna also to keep in mind, so there's a lot of shields coming out and the exhaust. And really, that fight and the precursor to that, the massive team fight, went so well for Fornot because they picked off the Diana to begin with. And we have seen that happen on more than one occasion on Rhymaster, unfortunately.
It's looking like he's playing this like a champion who can jump over walls and escape from these situations, but I think he's thinking, if I get caught out, I'll just kill one of them, go for a one for one. But when you're behind, 1-for-1's really what you want to be doing. It may give you that little bit of gold, but in a game like League, they're just going to get more gold as well.
That's right. And in these particular games that all it takes is one team fight if we look at the team comp from Fortnite here, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
They were playing confident. They were ahead by about 2,000 gold, and then it just crumbled with one good team fight, and it's now a 5k gold lead in favor of Fortnite.
Yeah, the Amumu is just doing so much work. I'm glad we hyped it up, and I'm glad it's paying off, because we would have looked pretty silly if it was just dumpstered by Nunu. So maybe teams setting their sights towards Baron. A pink ward there. Can it see that ward at the back of Baron, or is it just out of vision?
I can't entirely tell you from this perspective, but I would say that it should be able to see it. They may just not want to do that yet as they go in here.
Nautilus getting a nice hook onto Zaldo here, but not doing anything more. CNJ just taking on points and really living. Jude's getting taken over. That's 4-man. Amumu comes in. Zed in the back line doing so much damage. Is anyone going to fall? It is going to be points, and that's the first casualty of this fight, but the tower should be the second. But as I say that, here comes Fizz going in so much damage. Oh, and the Amumu bandage. A double kill for Amumu and the turret, and super minions pushing on the mid lane.
So much damage coming out of the team of Fortnite.
Yeah.
The Fizz is just ridiculous right now. He is doing absurd amounts of damage, and there's no real answer for Sin right now. They tried to make a pick. You saw the Sivir ult come out. Didn't even need to use the Janna ultimate. That was saved for another rainy day. It's still readily available if need be. And the team from Fortnite are all just doing ridiculous amounts of damage. The Kalista, QSS the Zed ult, did everything that they thought they could do to maybe live, and he did live. But the rest of the team just crumbled.
And it looks like that's just going to be the Baron that they've set up for, and that ward actually not spotted by the pink. So a deceptively sneaky pink ward here. I don't know if it's going to play any role in this game, because they are too far behind to want to contest anything. And that's just going to be the Baron going over to Fortnite.
That's right. It's only really going to give them vision. Is going to give them the timer, though, which is always nice. You do want your timers.
Hopefully
Dragon
they can survive till the next Baron.
Yeah, well, if they survive to the next Baron, they will be able to contest it with the timer.
Yeah.
The next objective, though, is going to be this Dragon. You can see they've put all the wards down that they need. They're going to try and take the Scuttlebug, but I think Fizz has rotated pretty quick. He's already hitting the Dragon.
Now, if you look at Nunu's smite, he smited the bug, and his second stack of it is nowhere near to coming off cooldown. So I think, he just wanted to give it up and hopefully keep an eye on when the Fortnite will be leaving from the Dragon.
Yeah, that, or he just wanted to give himself 80 gold, I guess. It does give a lot of gold, and he's going to be able to get the vision. They're going to have the timer on the Dragon as well.
But
they've got the timers.
Yep.
Moya might be going in over here with the Ghost Blade.
Yeah, I think he will be. I don't know how much points he's going to be able to do now that the stun has been used. Moya actually just letting him have that one as Nautilus and Kalista were coming in the back. A good sense of aggression, knowing how much you can get away with. But just like that, buys enough time for his team to get the bottom.
That's right. It's stopping the Aurelia from teleporting. Zed not having the teleport available kind of just bullied him and distracted him so that the rest of Fortnite can take that tower. And that's exactly what they did. And they're looking to continue that.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be the bottom tower if Fortnite have played this like they played all the other towers. But now with a Baron buff to back them up, I predict Amumu just getting another. Is the flash available? Not just yet. So he's going to have to rely on that bandage toss on the right member of Sin.
Yeah, well, I can tell you with a blue buff and a Baron buff, there's a very high chance that he will hit a bandage toss as they are going in.
Yeah, CNJ gets hooked immediately, but a combination with the ult and the Janna shield, it's not going to be able to finish him off. Fizz does get shut down, but does kill Nunu in the process. Zed, a double kill coming out, maybe a triple. Not just yet, since Stealth X just trying to bounce away, but unfortunately getting killed in the process. And with 2 inhibitors down, 3 members alive, and super minions, this looks like it's going to be game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way for them to not end this game right now. Absurd amounts of damage. They just did so much work for Fortnite, and they managed to get that massive lead out of one team fight where it started to look bad for them and managed to pull out a victory.
Just the prowess of Naya on that Amumu, knowing exactly where to flash, exactly when to ult, and really just giving his team the tools they need to win the game.
Yeah, and they did it so effortlessly. I can't even say it almost. They looked like they're an experienced team, and they came together so well after such a shaky early game. They did go down in the first game. It started to look like it was coming back in favor of Sin after they had such a strong strong start.
Yeah.
And they've managed to just come together and pull off a solid game.
All right, so that's it for our Game 2. Stay tuned for Game 3.